Please welcome BWC Administrator and CEO Stephanie McLeod.
Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning for such a solemn occasion. I know this is sometimes a hard day for people and a hard morning for folks, so I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the 9th Annual Fallen Workers Memorial. I want to welcome everyone around the state who's watching this event live on BWC TV and Ohio Channel websites. I want to thank everybody who's participating in the presentation today, including Ohio Industrial Commission Chairman Jim Hughes, BWC Board Chairman Chan Cochran, and Board Director Michael Taylor, Buzz Miner, Founder and Executive Director of Kids Chance Ohio, Freddie Johnson, our Chief Medical and Compliance Officer, OCSEA Delegate Tina Valentine, and SEIU Delegate Kelly Hopkins. Further, we have some other distinguished guests here that I would like to take a moment to recognize. Thank you for joining us. Members of the Survivor Benefits team are here. Thank you so much for being here as well. We have some more BWC board directors that I appreciate them coming out today. Director Stokes, Directors Kiggin and Palmer, thank you for being here. Cabinet member Jack Marchbanks has joined us from ODOT, my old home grounds as well. Thank you, Jack, for being here. We have executive staff from the Department of Rehab and Corrections and several other areas, I believe, also Department of Medicaid and some other folks from Department of Transportation. We have some legislators that have joined us I'd like to recognize. Thank you all for being here. Senator Herschel Craig, Senators Bob Hackett, Sean O'Brien, Tina Maharath, and Kenny Yuko, as well as several state representatives, Tavia Golansky, Anthony DeVitas, Allison Russo, Jessica Miranda, and Sarah Carruthers. Thank you. I would also like to thank some business representatives who were either came in person or sent someone, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, Andy Durrell and Kevin Schimp, his Director of Labor and Legal Affairs, Carolyn Mangus from the Ohio Insurance Agents Association, Jared Weiser with NFIB. Ohio Industrial Commissioner Jody Taylor joins us today, as do some of their staff, Jim Burkhart, Tim Adams, and Tom Connor. We have several MCO representatives who have joined us today as well. Thank you for that. We appreciate you being here. Also want to recognize Tim Berga from the AFL-CIO. Thank you for coming, Tim, to this important morning tribute. Thank you all for sharing in this. We stand here today to honor Ohioans who lost their lives in service to their employers, their families, and their communities. Losing a loved one who simply went to work to support themselves or their families is certainly an unspeakable tragedy, one that irrevocably changes many lives. We solemnly acknowledge their passing, but also want to remember them as they were, people just like us, who worked hard, who supported their families, who took care of their loved ones, who laughed and loved and created a narrative filled with momentous occasions, memorable milestones, and simple pleasures. What these men and women brought to the world will not be forgotten. We honor them not for having passed, we honor them for having lived. Their influence continues to inspire all those who cross their paths. To the workers' families who have lost so much, please know your loved ones are the reason we continue to make workplace safety a central part of our mission. Every day we work with employers to improve workplace safety, and it is a proud day when a new process or piece of equipment removes a dangerous situation. Later, we will read the names of the departed workers as a tribute. It is my hope, it is my prayer that someday there will be no names to read. And we can celebrate how all 5.6 million Ohio workers made it home safely during the prior year. At this time, it is my privilege to introduce to you the new chairman of the Industrial Commission, Jim Hughes.
Good morning. You guys awake? Good morning. Thank you. My name is Jim Hughes. I'm the chairman of the Industrial Commission. It is my honor and privilege to be here with you today. I'd also like to take this opportunity on behalf of my fellow commissioners, Karen Gilmore and Jody Taylor, to thank Stephanie McLeod, the administrator from BWC, for her leadership in bringing us all together today. When I thought about what I was going to say at this solemn event today, I went back to a book that many of us do in times of distress, and that is the Bible. And the verse I want to read, I think you've heard many times, is John 15. It says, "No greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for their friends." Ladies and gentlemen, these workers laid down their lives for all of us in this room and all of the 11.5 million Ohioans. May we never forget what they did. On the day of they perished, they did what many of us did. They got dressed. They probably said goodbye to their loved ones, said they'll see them tonight, kissed their kids goodbye, and then went off to work. They had no idea, nor did their loved ones have any idea, they would never see one another again. It is also my solemn prayer for all of us that we never forget these brave souls and the sacrifice they did for us. We have a holiday weekend coming up in which we'll have the opportunity to hopefully enjoy our family and friends and celebrate Labor Day, which is a great holiday. However, think about these families of the loved ones. That chair will be empty. There'll be a hot dog or a hamburger that will not be eaten by that person. May we take a moment when we're enjoying ourselves this weekend, that we sit back and say thank you and remember these brave souls, these men and women who did the ultimate sacrifice. As I close, one of the things that gets through my family and probably many of you, is a favorite verse that we think of. A heart of gold stopped beating. Two willing hands are now at rest. God broke our hearts to prove that he only takes the best of us. God bless these workers. God bless the United States. And thank you for each and every one of your employees for what you do for the state of Ohio and our 11.5 million Ohioans. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes. Now from one longtime friend of mine to another, I'd like to introduce to you Buzz Miner. Buzz is the executive director and head, and always in his heart, leader of Kids Chance, which is a nonprofit organization that services children through scholarship programs. I'll let Buzz tell you more about that. Please welcome him to the stage.
Good morning. On this day, members of the Ohio Workers' Compensation community come together to remember and honor the men and women of Ohio who lost their lives building and supporting our community through their work. Those of us who have spent time in the workers' compensation system know the impact that a work-related death has on the workplace, community, and family. Death casts a cold and lengthening shadow of grief and loss across all three, but most affected is the family that is left behind. There is no way to make up for such a profound and deep loss. Yet we know firsthand that workers' compensation is an important resource for these families. So today, let us again pledge and reaffirm our commitment to be at our best when a life has dealt others a blow that puts them in the worst of situations. Those men and women that we remember today all had hopes and dreams that were shared with their loved ones. Many of those dreams, many of those hopes will be forever and irretrievably lost. Things that we all look forward to, holidays, weddings, graduations, births, those milestones, will all occur and someone will never be there. So as we think of those dreams and hopes that have been lost, let us think of one that should never be lost. I'm sure that a dream of many of these men and women who died this year was seeing their child pursue an education beyond high school. That's where Kids Chance of Ohio comes in. We're an all-volunteer organization that is devoted to helping such students in need. Our members come from every corner of the state, every part of the workers' compensation community. Here's from our mission statement. The mission of Kids Chance of Ohio is to provide financial support to further the education of the children of Ohio workers who have been killed or declared permanently and totally disabled. It is the role of Kids Chance to make a difference in those lives and to help eligible students achieve their educational goals and their families' dreams. I would like to thank Administrator McLeod for giving Kids Chance of Ohio time today. All too often, I will hear someone remark that, gee, I wish I had known of Kids Chance earlier. Sometimes it comes from a student, sometimes from someone who wanted to help. I would also like to thank the administrator and members of her staff for working with us to help find more and better ways to identify and support potential scholarship recipients. We are also working to increase the awareness of Kids Chance throughout the workers' compensation community and beyond. Today is an important part of that effort. Our time is limited at this ceremony, of course. I would ask and hope that you might visit our website to learn more about Kids Chance and the people behind the effort. So today, as we take time away from our work to remember those men and women who we lost last year, let us remember that each fallen worker had unfulfilled dreams and aspirations. Their dreams were important, and they motivated them to be at their best at work and in life. Please join us in the effort to make more people aware of Kids Chance and its mission so that the educational dreams of these men and women for their children might live on. I think that would be a fitting memorial. Thank you.
To echo Buzz's comments, I really encourage you to visit the website to see how you can contribute and also how you can spread the word. We have some ideas we'd like to work with Buzz on between BWC and the Industrial Commission, how we can further get the word out to help these young people who have already endured quite a tragedy of their own move forward a little bit with just a little bit of help. While it'll never take the place, it is at least some help. We gathered here today, of course, to honor those who have passed away since our last Fallen Workers Memorial at their job. But we'd like to take a moment, hopefully this is okay with everyone, to honor a few BWC employees that we have lost during this past year. It's been a tough year for the BWC family. And these are the folks who we want to honor them while they were not injured at the job. That was not the cause of their passing. These are people who worked with those families, those decedents' families, and worked to try to help get all of the benefits and the things done that needed done, and we would like to honor them at this time. Some special colleagues. First is Ron Suttles, our Chief of Employer Services, who passed away suddenly just a couple weeks ago. Kate Carpenter, administrative professional. She was in the Division of Safety and Hygiene at the Dayton Service Office. Michelle Spallino, a workers' comp claims specialist in our Canton service office, and James Parker, audiovisual production specialist, communications department. We'd like to thank them and honor them for their time and service, not only to BWC, but to injured workers and decedents' families across the state. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Board of Directors Chairman, Chan Cochran, and Director Mike Taylor to present. Thank you.
Good morning. Today we commemorate the lives of 140 Ohioans lost to work causes in the recent past. We set aside our daily routine to confront the somber reality that despite all of our progress of the last few decades, mortal danger still lurks at work. Some among us, especially our valorous police and firefighters, face even greater risk because they agree in taking their jobs that they will run toward danger whenever and wherever it threatens the rest of us. Work is part of God's plan for all of us, as we learn as early as the second chapter of Genesis. But we as children have a duty to be safe and to protect the safety of others as we carry out that plan. One way we can honor the lives of those we commemorate today is to analyze in depth the causes of their deaths so that we can learn to prevent other work deaths in the future. Administrator McLeod and I commit today to do that so that the meaning of this ceremony remains on our minds throughout the year. Let us all work to a future where fewer and eventually no new names are read at this ceremony.
Good morning. Welcome to the 9th Annual Fallen Workers Memorial. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to be here with us. It's an honor to be joining you and recognizing our sisters and brothers that lost their lives on the job this year. People just like you and I, who woke up, prepared for their day, and unbeknownst to them, kissed their loved ones goodbye for the last time. On behalf of the entire BWC Board of Directors, I would like to echo Chairman Cochran and Administrator McLeod's sentiments of hope and prayer for the day that we will have no names to read here at this program. The poem I'm going to read is written by Mike Baird. Mike is an International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers member. It is written in honor of our fallen sisters and brothers. May they never be forgotten. I write these words of honor for those who gave their lives, and to their families, their husbands and their wives. For those whose lives were spent doing what they must, working for a living like every one of us. Their time cut short by things they didn't have to be, to make the workplace safer for people like you and me. To make sure their stories will never go untold, to always keep their memories from ever growing cold. We must remember the price they all had to pay when we honor the men and women on Workers' Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Cochran and Director Taylor. Unfortunately, Governor DeWine was not able to be here today. He wanted to be here. He did ask me to read a Fallen Workers Memorial Resolution. Whereas Ohio businesses rely on a well-educated and highly trained workforce to remain competitive in an increasingly global economy. And whereas each day nearly 5.6 Ohioans leave their homes and loved ones and go to work to support their families and improve their communities. And whereas more than 100 workers tragically lose their lives on the job each year, the loss of an individual at work affects coworkers and has a devastating impact on their family and friends. And whereas the Fallen Workers Memorial was created in 2011 to honor those Ohio workers who have lost their lives as a result of a workplace injury, and whereas labor and management must work together to continue to strive for safe and healthy work environments and prevent tragedies at the workplace from occurring, and whereas we owe a debt of gratitude to those dedicated laborers who have been killed as the result of a workplace injury which can never fully be repaid, now therefore we, Mike DeWine and John Husted, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio, do hereby recognize August 29, 2019 as the Fallen Workers Memorial. At this time, I'd like to invite BWC Chief Medical and Compliance Officer Freddie Johnson and Union Representatives Tia Valentine and Kelly Hopkins to the stage to read the roll of the fallen. Once we have honored every fallen worker by reading his or her name, we will have a moment of silence followed by ringing the bell 3 times. And this part is important. Let that be the final sound we hear today, as we ask you to please respect those who have lost their lives by departing the auditorium in silence. I know it feels like a nice time to catch up with people, to talk about the solemnness of the ceremony, but please, out of honor, let's depart the auditorium in complete silence after the ringing of the bell. I'll ask Freddie and Tia and Kelly to come up.
We will now read the names of the fallen. Val Apkarjan, John Armour, Karen Arrington, Joseph Arrington, Robert Bachman,
Mark Bacon, Terry Bierman, Ronald Bashara, Daniel Boucher, Thomas Brawley,
William Brewer, Jeffrey Brittle, Barry Bridges, Joseph Brooks, David Brown,
Glenn Bruins, Mary Buck, Luis Calderon, Chris Cherry, Kevin Clark,
Gordon Cockrell, Andrew Cooper, Pat Cooper, Robert Coulter, Jennifer Cross,
Rachel Cunningham, Tony DeBramo, Richard Dirth, William DiPietro, Gerald Dobson,
William Edmonds, Virgil Ellis, William Elmo, David Evans, Tanner Franchek,
John Fritz, Brandon Fuller, Paul Funk, Leonardo Garcia, Rufus Gaiman,
Travis Gelhausen, Charles Gerstenmeyer, Edward Gibbons, Lee Gerksis, Martin Goshling,
Kenneth Gregory, Clyde Hayfully, Troy Hall, Robert Halter, Roy Hamker,
Bradley Haynes, Joseph Hedges, James Herman, Juan Hernandez Jimenez. Robert Hetzer.
Andercy Eldago Marita, Larry Higgins, David Higgins, Teresa Howe, Michelle Hubbs,
Brent Jarvis, Lynn Jeske, Ronnie Jones, Geraldo Juarez, Carl Kaido,
Kyle Kent. Kenneth Kohner. Frederick Krajewski. William Kranstuber. Theodore Corella.
James LeClaire, MC Lawler, James Leonard, Paul Leiderbach, Michael Livingston,
Daniel Lucius, Ramon Luna Rangel, Brian Malone, John Marshall, James Martin,
Frank Martin. Matthew Mazzani. Corey McCaslin. Edward McClung. Krista McDonald.
Jeffrey McGahee, Thomas McKeon, Dennis McKenzie, James Momini, Marvin Moyer,
James Murphy, Sean Myers, Alan Nelson, Marie Nemir, Richard Newcomer,
Vu Wen. Preston Osborne. Howard Ostman. Patrick Patrick. Joseph Patterson.
David Perrin, William Petrie, Bernard Piper, Brendan Poling, Demetrius Pope,
Hugh Potter, John Predico, Robert Reckert, John Ritchie, Albert Robinette,
Thomas Robinson. James Saunders. Ronald Shinharl. Ronald Schulte. Frederick Schwann.
Brady Smith, Nathan Soto, Joseph Stell, Jeffrey Steele, Benjamin Stoll,
Gordon Strotbeck, William Supple, Frank Tabb, Raymond Timko, Jennifer Topper,
John Trainer. Gerald Tudor. Christopher Ulrich. Vincent Vincent. Timothy Walters.
Wayne Webb, Charles Wheeler, Stephen Whitaker, Charles White, Eugene Whitmer,
Terry Wogenstall, Dale Woods, Charles Woodward, Robert Warnstaff, Benjamin Zimmerman,